Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Golf Adjacent with Canon Claycomb. I'm Christian Sykes, your host, joined as always by Canon Claycomb. It's been a couple weeks, Canon. How have you been? What's been going on in your golf world? Took a little bit of a break, and now we're back into it.
Yeah, been busy playing a lot of golf. Q school first stage is next week for Corn Ferry, so just been kind of prepping for that and doing all the stuff I can do for the podcast and the Instagram whenever time allows. But yeah, it's been a busy couple weeks. Obviously, we talked about going to Sweden and doing that. Came back here, and it's kind of a quick turnaround between that and first stage of Corn Ferry, and then I leave for Spain right after first stage of Corn Ferry next week. So just trying to put everything together, make sure all the travel's booked, all of the flights are correct, all the hotel dates are for the right days. But yeah, other than that, it's been good. And we're starting to play some good golf. So excited for the next couple weeks.
Did you finally? You said you were still waiting on your second stage. Did you officially get where you're going?
Yeah, so I'm in Huelva, Spain, which is kind of in the bottom of Spain, close to the Portugal border. Um, on a map, it looks pretty close to Africa as well, like the tip top of Africa. So last year I was in, it was a place called Fontanals, and it's very tip top north of Spain, close to the French border. So excited to go back to Spain this year and see a different part of the country. And last year it was like very mountainous, kind of chilly, colder weather, and this year it's going to be like almost a desert and pretty warm. So completely different, and I'm excited for that. So it was good to finally get my location, book all the travel, and now the only thing left to do is go play some good golf.
Is your girlfriend coming as a caddy again?
No, she's gonna stay home this week, next week. Couldn't get over to Spain, but I think she will come for final stage if I make it. So might have to put her back on the bag, but my dad's gonna come with me for second stage. He actually caddied at second stage last year in Fontanals as well. So we have a really good relationship. He's been like such a great golf dad, and like for anybody listening to this, maybe that like is has a kid playing junior golf or will have a kid playing junior golf, like he really did a great job. Like him and my mom both staying out of the way. Like I think I first beat him when I was like 11 or 12, which he probably hates to hear me say that. But the positive part of that was he always was like, if I can't beat you, why would I tell you what to do? And I thought that was such a great, way of raising me in the game. And he would give me advice and I would ask for it when I needed it, and that was always welcome. But I think you see a lot of times in junior golf and college golf, like the parents become overbearing, and some of the kids just begin to hate the game because their parents kind of force them to like the game, and that was never the case. So that was a long-winded answer to my dad is a great caddy, and I'm very excited to have that dynamic with him and I on the golf course.
That's interesting. Has So you said that he caddied last year in your like high school tournament, maybe not your high school tournaments, but like the tournaments when you were a junior golfer, did he do some caddying or get on the bag with you?
Yeah, so he would caddy for like USAM qualifier, US Open qualifier, all of that kind of stuff. Most of the junior events I played, you weren't allowed to have a caddy, so that was kind of out of the window. And then US Junior, they actually had a really good rule. I thought that in the US Junior, you couldn't have a parent caddy for you. You had to either like hire someone or bring a friend. So I had a really good buddy, Austin Schneller. He would always caddy for me in the US Juniors. But I mean, my dad would come and watch, and like there was never that weird like you hit a bad shot and like look at your dad. Because I mean, some people did that, like They were more worried about what their parents' reaction to their golf shot was than where their shot actually ended. So I was lucky enough to not have to worry about that. The biggest thing was where did the ball end up? Um, and that was a really nice stress reliever for me to have growing up. So we've continued to have that, really good father-son relationship, and it's carried over to caddying. And he's gotten to caddy some cool places. Like I made it to U.S. Open sectionals a couple of times, which is the last step before the U.S. Open. I almost made it into the U.S. Open a couple of years ago at the Bears Club. He caddied for that, and that was a really cool experience. So we have a pretty good track record together, and like I said, excited for him to caddy in Spain.
That's fun. It's also probably a great trip just to be able to go and like spend some time with your dad internationally, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, and like even the other day, he said like we were looking at videos and pictures from last year's event in Fontanals, and he was like, "Thank you," and I was like, "What are you talking about? Thank you? Like you're the one that like helped me get to this point." But that was a cool like back to earth moment where it's like, hey, you're playing these events and they mean a lot and it's very important, but like it's also in 25 years, I'm going to be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, remember when my dad caddied for me at second stage of Q school in Spain? Like not everybody gets to do that. So yeah, very cool experience and trying to think about more of these events like that, where it's like, hey, this is very important, it's very stressful, but at the same time, like I'm getting to do things that not a lot of people get to do. So trying to be more thankful in that regard.
if you get through Q school and get on the DP Q school or Corn Ferry Q school, what does your like caddy situation look like? I know a lot of the stuff you've done has been either your dad or your girlfriend, or we've talked a little bit outside of recording about like what caddying looks like on a professional tour. What does that look like for you potentially?
Yeah, I think that's a new part of the game that I would still have to learn, right? Like when I was in Canada, you have a season, a full season, but I wasn't making enough money to have a full-time caddy with me. And I don't think that was a big issue. I mean, a lot of guys did have a full-time caddy, but it was usually a buddy of theirs that they just brought up for the summer that was kind of looking for a job or in between jobs. And I did that as well in junior golf with a couple buddies. So I think if I ever got that, full status on a major tour, you would hire someone and I would go through my agency to try and find guys, that have been recommended by other players or even like past players. A lot of guys are starting to get into caddying when, their playing careers are kind of ending. And I think that's another good option as well. I think for guys at our level, and some guys might be different, like, but for me, it's more of a like, do I get along with this guy? And can we hang out for 5 hours? And can I say to him things that I might not be able to say to other people, like not bad things, but like, some people get upset after golf shots. I get upset after golf shots, not like crazy mad or anything, but it's not like a blame the caddy situation, but it's like, hey, like what was wrong there? Or like why did that come up short? Why did that come up long? Stuff like that. Those conversations can get intense at times if, the caddy is as judgmental as you are of the shot. And that's a tough dynamic. So I think that's going to be a difficult part, finding the right fit. But that would also mean that I have status on a major tour and life would be pretty good at that point. So that's something that I hope I have to deal with moving forward.
It's a good problem to have. Would you prefer a
Yeah.
caddy to be a little bit more for yourself, for your, preferred play style? Would you prefer a caddy to be a little bit more harsh or a little bit more like relaxed and allow you to vent more?
I think I think a little bit of both, right? Like so well, I mentioned Austin Schneller earlier. He's a great buddy of mine, like grew up together, and he's caddied for me in basically every major event that I've played in. And it's it's a lot of like push and pull like that, where sometimes I get whoa me and like, everything's going wrong. Why isn't this happening? And he's kind of like, dude, shut up, like you're being annoying. Just like play golf. Like you're really good at golf, like just play golf. And then there's other times where you do hit a good shot and it takes a bad bounce, and like the only thing you want to hear is like, "Whoa, you," right? Like, "Oh, why did that happen to you at that moment?" Like, so I think there is a good mix, and he did a good job of that. So I think, I would be looking for someone that could play both roles. Because like, I mean, sometimes you do hit a good shot and you get a bad break, and if your caddy's like, "Well, why'd you hit it there?" Like, dude, like I didn't try to. Like I just hit a bad shot. Or I hit a good
Yeah.
shot that got a bad bounce. Like it is what it is.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about, what's upcoming. What does your past couple of weeks look like as far as prep is concerned? Any tournaments that you've played in, things of that nature?
Yeah, so a lot of it has I played in the member guest here at Lake Nono with JP Cave, who I played with at Alabama. We played last weekend. That was a lot of fun. That was kind of a get your mind off of everything that's going on while still, touching a club on the weekend type thing, which was really nice. We had a great time. And then Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, I played a 2-day mini tour event here in Orlando. Played really well. Still got beat by a couple guys that played even better. So that was fun to do and fun to compete. And I played really solid and hit shots the way I wanted to. So a little momentum going into Q school and a couple of events that were, not super meaningful, but were nice to get some reps and have some fun and yeah, get ready for, the stress of the next 2.5, 3 weeks.
So that mini tour event, you shot 67, 64. Talk a little bit about that 64 round. I think it was a par 72. You go 8 under. Like what felt different in your game? Because we've talked about this, right? Where like you're a player that typically could shoot 3 or 4 under consistently on a given round, but to go 8 under, that's not atypical or not surprising for you, but maybe a little bit less frequent. How did that second round feel for you?
Yeah, so the course we played here in Orlando, it was Legends up in Claremont for anyone that's familiar with Orlando. I think it was like a course rating of like 72.6. It was like 6,800 yards. So it wasn't a challenging golf course by any means. And the winner shot 16 under for 2 rounds. So I was 13 under for 2 rounds. But I think, the biggest thing with that is like you still have to do it, right? And it might be a short golf course, but I did hit a lot of pitching wedges. I hit a lot of 9 irons. I hit a lot of 8 irons. And those are shots that you also have to hit on a regular basis when you're playing in Q school. And I think the big thing is the putter gets hot. You start making a couple of things, and the hole looks a little bigger. And that's when, 4 under turns into 8 under. There were a couple of holes that round. I shot 64 that, I was out of position, was able to get it on the green to like 20, 25 feet, and you make the 25 footer. And it's like, okay, well, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. So now we have a little extra momentum. And then you hit a couple close, you birdie a couple par fives. And then you look up at the end and you shot 8 under. And as crazy as it sounds, I left a couple shots out there. The guy I played with that day shot 9 under. There was a guy that shot 10 under that day. So I don't think it's crazy to think that could have been a 10 or 11 under. I was 7 under through 10 or 7 under through 11. So, played the last 7 holes only in 1 under. Well, not only in 1 under, but I played them in 1 under, and it could have been pretty crazy round. But it was nice to play a competitive round like that where you put everything out and shoot a low score. Because like you said, we've talked a lot about how it's tough to get past that 3, 4 under mark, and you have to do that to compete. So, and also I looked at the scores from last year for second stage of DP World Tour Q School, like where I'm going in Spain, and 27 under won for 4 rounds, and 14 under was the qualifying score. So it
Jeez.
was kind of nice to get in that, like, you have to make birdies mode. And yeah, so I think, I feel like I've done a really good job preparing for Q school this year. Last year, I didn't really know what to expect. I made it to second stage in DP World Tour, and I made it to second stage off of PGA Tour University for Corn Ferry Tour. So I got to see both second stages and get that little bit of experience. But I didn't really know how to prepare for those events last year. And having that little bit of, learning curve out of the way now, it's been nice to have a game plan going into Corn Ferry and DP World Tour Q schools. So um, excited, like I said, game's trending in the right direction, and it was nice to get a couple reps in before the big events.
Do you feel more comfortable this year?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, both places, well, I haven't seen the place in Spain, but I've played a second stage. And then like my first stage is in Ocala, which I played for Q School for America's Tour this summer. So I've seen it, I've played it, I've walked it. I just feel like it's close to home. Like I'm staying in a hotel, but I can get back to Orlando in an hour and a half. Like it's just, I feel very good about, how I've done Q School. And like we talked about it a little bit, but there is like research and homework that goes into these things. And I think the players that like don't do that don't get the full advantage of like their games, right? Because I could have gone to London to do DP World Tour Q School, but every American goes to London because it's the closest option and usually the cheapest option. So like I picked Sweden on purpose to try and give myself the best opportunity to get through. And then in Ocala, like Ocala is 6,900 yards. Every hole is basically a dog leg. There's a lot of less than drivers off the tee there. And so, like, anytime I can take driver out of other players' hands and I still get to hit driver, I feel like I have an advantage. Like, the places I've won at and played well at, like in junior golf, I won at Karsten Creek. I won at Duke, which is very similar style of golf. I won at Water Sound, which is a very similar style of golf. So I'm very good at the golf courses where you have to pick your spot to hit it off the tee and everybody hits it to that spot and then you play from the same spot. I'm not as good when guys can hit it over bunkers or over trees and take trouble out of play with their length because I don't have the same length. So I think last year I didn't really have that like understanding of like, hey, there's different places you can go play. Like, don't just pick the closest option and the cheapest option to you, which is a luxury that, I've been afforded. But yeah, I think it's a lot that goes into Q school.
So you've been posting a lot of videos on Instagram about like your current swing thought. Um, Talk to me about how you attack that and like what coaching. So like when you're going into coaching, like if I were to go get lessons, right? They look at my swing and they say you need to change this, and this because your swing's
Hmm.
messed up because I'm not a, professional golfer. But
Yeah.
I assume like when you're going, it's like very minuscule changes. And are those things that like your coach or whoever is helping you out, like do you change a new swing thought every single time you go to a less or a session or a coaching, or is it the same thing for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then you move on once you feel like you mastered that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the same stuff, kind of repetitive over again. And like I've never been the guy that's like changed my golf swing, right? Because I'm very unconventional. Like I have a very strong grip. I cross it at the top and lay it back flat on the way down. And so I've always had the same issue. And I had this issue at school, which was in the transition. Like I get quick at the top, and that's why that tug of the bottom of the club kind of across and creating like narrowness with my hands and steepness, that's become a problem for me. And so like in college, I would always just go to the range for 2 days and only hit shots where I took the club back, stopped for 2 seconds, and then went down and hit the ball. And that helps with my transition. I was able to time it better. And so like I kind of got away from that swing thought and just was trying to fix it in other ways. And I finally am just back to doing that. And I'm starting to really swing the club the way I want to again. And so I think for me, over the last 2 years playing professional golf, like when I was in college, it was like, okay, I just didn't play good this week. Like, I'll go home, I'll fix whatever I need to fix, and then we'll go play in 2 weeks and I'll be ready to play. Right. And like, you had a lot of support around you in college. Like, I took lessons from Jay Sewell, the head coach. So, like, he was always there. And there was all this stuff that, like, I was able to get better or fix what I needed to fix quickly. Whereas now it's like I still have the ability to fix those things quickly, but in college I didn't really know much about the golf swing. Like I was just as like as arrogant as this sounds, I was just always good. Like I didn't know why I was good. I just was kind of a competitor and like I hit big draws and they always drew and I just went out there and played. So like I kind of realized that like in professional golf, there's guys out there that they're hitting it bad the first three holes, and then they know their golf swing well enough to make adjustments in the round and like turn an even par into a three under when they didn't play the way they wanted to. And like that's the difference between making a cut and missing a cut or getting a top 10 and not getting a top 10. Like, so I think for I guess like the long-winded way of saying this answer to your question is I started going to a lot of these lessons not to fix my golf swing, but to understand like how do I properly diagnose the problem? Like if I'm out on the golf course and it's starting right and not drawing, what do I need to do while I'm playing around to fix that? Instead of having to wait for the round to be over, I shoot 74 and then go to the range and fix it before the next round. So a lot of my lessons recently have been, I really just go, I talk to my swing coach about what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking, and he says, yeah, I like that because of this, or no, I don't like that. Let's do it this way because this is the reason why we should do it, et cetera. Like, so my lessons have really been more of like me learning about golf, learning about the golf swing, learning how to properly diagnose issues instead of like, hey, I'm coming to get a lesson. I need to hit it good tomorrow. Like, can you fix it?
Yeah. So on the course or in a tournament, how does that kind of translate for you? Because like when I play, like I can go to a lesson and they're like, you need to do this, you need to move your shoulders like this to open up your stance, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna try to do, and like that's the only thing I'm thinking about. But like for you, how does that translate when you're playing?
Yeah, I think like so going back to the pausing at the top thing, like if I'm struggling, I know that I can do that in my pre-shot routine where I take it to the top, stop, and then work it under and hit that draw feeling. And though I'm not hitting shots where I'm pausing at the top during the round, I do have that ability now to be like, hey, I know if I do this correctly in the practice swing, like it will translate over at some point into the real golf swing. And I think like it's not that I didn't know that, it's just that I didn't trust that while I was playing, right? So like I would play and then go to the range and do that for an hour and then go home. Whereas now it's like I know that that feeling is correct. And so if I just repetitively do that throughout the course of the round, like it's gonna progressively get better as the round goes on. And um I've always been a really good chipper of the ball. Like I get up and down a lot and I do miss a good amount of greens. So like those rounds where I'm not hitting it good, I I still shoot around even par because I'm able to get up and down so well and chip so well. But having that ability to be like, okay, well, I'm hitting it bad and I'm chipping it good and we're around even par. Like if I can hit two or three iron shots well in the last 12 holes, now we turn a one over into a one under, or we turn a two over into an even. And like one shot here or there, especially in Q school, is just such a big deal. So I think it's more of a trust in like knowing what I know now after, the work and the lessons that I've gotten in the last year and a half have given me. And um, I think like the more I've played, the more I've realized how important confidence is. And like I even see that in like Hollywood, right? Our wide receiver. Like he's dropped a lot of balls over the middle. And I talked to Mac Hereford about this, and he's like, it's not a technical thing, it's not a talent thing. He's just nervous over the middle. He's nervous he's going to get hit, or he's nervous he's going to drop it. And like those same feelings come in golf. Like for me, I get a tee shot, wind off the left, water up the right. I kind of clam up, and like now I know that I can hit this shot in that wind on that hole, and I know how to do it correctly. And I might not do it, I might not execute it, but I have the confidence to know that like if I do this correctly, it should go well.
So I played in a work tournament this past week. You said you had a couple of questions or you wanted to hear my thought process as far as playing that. That will kind of flip the roles a little bit. You asked me a
Hmm.
question or two on that.
Yeah, so like when you were playing in your tournament, what was the most like nerve-wracking part of the game while you were playing? And why do you think that was the most nerve-wracking part?
Uh, well, I think golf for me in a nutshell is a very negative game.
Hmm.
In the sense of I'm never positive about anything I do in golf, especially when I'm playing around. Like coming up to a or a drive shot, like, and I'm also one that jokes a lot. But I believe what I say. So like when I come up to a drive or I'm coming up to first shot at the tee box, I'm like, and I tell everyone, I'm like, the shot's going left. It's probably going to be out of bounds. I'm not going to hit it well. And typically,
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, that's what happens. There's an occasional 1 or 2 times out of 10 where it does well. But I think the most nervous I get in golf is the second shot off the tee. And it's because like it's almost like I get too excited. Like if I'm in position A, right? And I'm like, okay, if I hit the shot well, then I'm gonna have a birdie putt. And I can at the driving range, I hit all my irons really well. And
Hmm.
but when I get on the golf course and I'm in a good position to put the ball on the green, I don't hit the ball well.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I get most nervous.
Yeah, and like so the reason I asked that is because I think it's more like situationally when you're at this level, right? Like I said with the tee shot, like I drive the ball really well. But there's certain tee shots that I get like really nervous on, and there's certain putts that I get really nervous on. But those are usually situations. And I feel like when I play with like mid-ams or higher handicaps, they're kind of like, well, my irons suck or my putting
Yeah.
sucks. And it's like, it's one thing, right? And it's like, they're actually kind of right. Like a lot of the guys I've played with in these pro-ams and stuff, like they hit it great and then they get around the green and it takes them like four to get in the hole from like 20 yards. And so I think it's interesting to hear that perspective. And I do think like I'm very self-deprecating as well, but like in a joking way. And I think that does help on the golf course a little bit. But it's funny to hear you say that. What did you feel like your strong part was while you were playing?
So I told you this, like the first tee and the issue with my golf game, right? When I can analyze everything with my golf game. The issue with my golf game is in a single round, I could be good at 2 parts of golf, but 1 part of golf it's always bad. Now, whether
Hmm.
that be, oh, my driver's bad one day, but my irons and putting are good, or oh, my irons are bad, but my putting or around the greens and driver is good. It's never, if I could ever put everything together, like I would be a good golfer. But
Hmm.
because I can't put everything together at the same time, like I, but for this one, like the first hole, I get up and it depends on the day, but like I generally have some pretty good power. I hit my first drive 302 yards. Like
It's
that's
amazing.
yeah, like and that's not a normal thing. Generally I drive it between like 250, 260, but like if I square it up and I do everything I'm supposed to, like I can really put the ball out there. Um, And then the second hole, I hit it like a 270-yard drive. I really wanted to make it go left because it was dogleg left par five. Um, Ended up not being able to do that, but it went dead straight, which I was happy about. Then between holes 3 and 14, I don't think I put a drive in play. Everything went left.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the thing I was most consistent with was my putting. For my team, I generally, when I play a scramble, I want to hit first, just because I don't have pressure. Like I can just not think about things, not think about what I need to do, and just try to put a ball out there. And even on the greens, I was like, I'm probably not going to putt it well, so let me at least try to give the team a line. The first 6 holes, I
Yeah.
one putted.
Nice. That's
So,
awesome.
um, probably my strong suit was putting. I remember specifically it was like hole 8, and I listened to what you said. We were off the green. It was probably a fifth, not 15 yard, probably like a 10-yard chip. We were in like a bowl, needed to go up and over to get on the
Hmm.
green. And instead of taking a wedge out, I took my putter out. I putted it to like 3 feet, tapped it in for par before everyone else went. So I was like, hey, you can go after this. I put this in for par. And
Yeah.
not one of them put it on the green, chipping it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So
no, that's great. And like, so that's really like what I love to hear, right? And like I posted a video on the Golf Adjacent Instagram yesterday of me hitting chips from the same spot 3 different ways. And I think that like most amateur golfers, they see a shot and they only see one way to hit it. And like I think that is part of the reason why they struggle so much. It's like, because when I'm out there, right, like I can hit that chip through like 7 different windows. Like I can go super high, I can go mid high, I can go super low, I can go mid low, I can spin it, I can not spin it. And so it's like, why pick the like, why pick the hardest option, right? That was kind of my whole point with the post is like, when you go practice, when you're on the range, like hit 3 shots to a flag, hit a draw, hit a cut, hit a straight shot. Figure out which one you're good at. When you're chipping, hit a high one, hit a low one, hit a mid one, hit a putt. Figure out which one you're good at. Like it's not golf is Sewell always told me this, and I thought it was genius. And I didn't really understand it or appreciate it until I graduated. But he said golf is hard, but it's not complicated. And like I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah, I think it's pretty hard and it's pretty complicated. So I don't know what you're talking about. But he was right. It's not complicated, it's just hard. And so like when you can dumb it down and make it as simple as possible, and I don't mean dumb it down in like a bad way. Like all when I get around the green and I go to chip, my first view of the shot in my head is low because that takes the most variables out of play. And then once I see that like the low shot might not be the best option, that's when I transition to like, okay, maybe I hit this high or maybe I hit this mid. Like that's kind of what I'm doing. And so like when I tell you to putt it, it's not because like I think you're a bad chipper. It's just like your whole goal is to shoot better scores. Like, and as long as you shoot better scores, it doesn't matter what it looks like. And you can always like learn how to chip. Like I'll teach you how to chip. It'll take me 30 minutes. But until you're ready for that and like ready to do that in competition, putt it or like punch it with an iron up by the green so you can make a par. Like that's the big thing. And like I love that you said that because it makes me feel good that someone's listening. But I do think like that's the biggest thing is like you guys just want to like look good while they're playing. It's like, dude, I don't care how you look. Like as long as you make a par, you make a par. Like that's the whole point of the game.
yeah, I mean, the first thing I was thinking of is anytime we were around the green is how can I putt this, right? And if
Hmm.
there's like stuff in the rough where like you can't really get the ball out well, like you're not going to putt it, but any opportunity that I could, like just because like for an amateur golfer or a high handicap golfer like myself, like yeah, I could probably hit a chip good 1 out of 10 times, but like, what do I feel like I can get the ball closest to the hole with? And it's probably with my putter because I'm not having to worry about spin. I'm not having to worry about how it comes off, how it hits the fringe, all of these different things. I can just worry about giving it enough speed, making sure it's the right line to at least put it up towards the hole. And that's kind of what I was
Yeah.
thinking about doing.
Yeah. No, that's genius. And like even I saw something on Golf Digest the other day that was like whatever yardage you have, pick the higher club. Like if it's a 7 iron distance, hit the 6 iron and do that for a full round and see where that ends up. And like I would never do that because I know exactly how far my 7 iron goes. But I would love to see like a 15 handicap do that in a real round and see what the results are. Because like that's part of the point, right? Like it's hard, but it's not complicated. Like if you can get the ball pin high anywhere around the green, you have a pretty good chance of making a bogey at worst and maybe a par. And like when I played with Mac in that scramble a couple weeks ago, we played our own balls, but he was kind of like doing the same thing where it was like, I think he's a 15 or 16 handicap. He shot 90 and we putted everything out, played the ball down. Like I made him take real drops when he hit it out of play. And he was like, that was the best round I can ever remember playing, like from a real golf perspective. And all I kept telling him was like, dude, just stack bogeys. Like bogeys are good, pars are great, and doubles are bad. And then like if you somehow make a birdie, that's like that's two holes right there that you've just now gotten back. And so it's like I've always played when I play like competitive golf now, my goal is to play every three holes one under par. So like first three holes, if I play them at even, I'm like, all right, let's play the next three and two under. And then if I play the next two and or next three and two under, I'm like, all right, let's play the next three and one under. And so you're giving yourself these little goals where it's like, I think to relate to like a mid handicap or even like a lower handicap, it's like if I make three pars in a row, that's like making a birdie and two pars really, because I'm ahead of the game at that point. So it's like if you can stack those and stay away from the huge numbers, like there's literally no way that you're not going to get better at golf.
Yeah, I think us as a group, because we were all high handicaps or went in as high handicaps, we got a little cocky. We were three under through four holes with a birdie and an eagle,
Hmm.
and we then bogeyed like three of the next like five holes.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have bogeyed those three holes, we would have won, but on net, not gross. But
Yeah.
it was fun. I don't get to play golf much. I'm pretty busy. But it was nice to get back out there and hit a few balls. But
Good. I'd love to hear that. I'm so glad you got out and used the Texas wedge around the greens. So,
yeah, yeah. And if I ever end up going to Florida, we'll be doing a lot more stuff like that.
yes, absolutely.
So last thing I want to talk about before we get to our giveaway winner, which we announced on our last episode that we would announce the winner today, is the professional golf world. So the LPGA and then the PGA went to Japan, I believe. Um, Not necessarily talking about those tournaments, but a couple of storylines came up. One in the LPGA Tour event where the greens were just completely blown out, really bad shape because of some weather that came through. And then on the men's side, there were like 50, 60 mile an hour winds on day one. Talk a little bit about just how weather like that impacts your game, and then in relation to the greens, like for non-professional golfers that are listening, a lot of us will see greens that are maybe somewhat similar to that. How do you approach greens that are really bad, and how do you approach high wind or bad weather?
Yeah, so the green one is really tough. Like, I think that's the hardest thing to overcome when you're playing golf is bad greens because it takes all of the like truth out of the putt that you just hit, right? Like you can hit a really good putt and it just doesn't go in. And so there's two different types of bad greens in my opinion. There's a couple different, but there's two main ones and it's they're either slow and bad or they're fast and bad. And slow and bad, I'm okay with because you can kind of manipulate the speed, like hitting it harder. And usually the putts are a little straighter when they're slow. But when you get bad fast greens, that's when it gets very, very difficult because you have to hit it at a pace that like doesn't run by the hole and you don't want 4 feet coming back on bad greens. So when they're fast and bad, I always try and pick the highest line possible and try and diet into the hole because when you hit it at that speed, the entire hole now becomes makeable, right? Like I can die it in on the top side and it catches the right lip at zero pace and it goes in. Or same with the low side, like if it has no speed, it's gonna curve around and go in. So that's how I would put on bad slow greens is like I'm always barely trying to get it to the front edge of the hole. That way, if it catches any part of the hole, even if it bumps or anything, it goes in. When it's slow and bad, I'm trying to just hammer it and like straight, 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 straight. Like take the break out of everything and know that like if I hit this 2 or 3 feet past, like I'll just slam the next one in and it's going to hit the hole and like hopefully go in. Um, I think, like I said, like that's just the hardest. I think that's the hardest part because like if it's bad fairways or whatever, you can just pick it clean. Like you can get around playing golf like on bad fairways or bad rough. But the most frustrating part of golf, I think, is when you hit a good putt and it doesn't go in, and like you know it was a good putt and you read it correctly and it just still didn't go in. So I don't know if there's like a really a way to play on bad greens. I think a lot of it's luck, a lot of it's, getting the right bounce. Um, but then in the wind, like the wind is very confusing as well because you're playing with different windows, right? So like when I'm playing in wind, if it's downwind, I'm always trying to hit it as high as possible. And if it's into the wind, I'm always trying to hit it as low as possible. And that's not like groundbreaking information, but it's hard to figure out when you're downwind. Like if I hit it mid to high and it doesn't get all the way up, the wind actually might push it down. So like if I'm playing and it's 180 yards and it's, let's say, 20 miles an hour downwind, I would equate that to almost 20 yards of wind downwind. And so I would hit an 8 iron, which usually goes like 160, 165. But if that 8 iron doesn't apex high enough, the wind's going to push it down and it might only go 160, 165, like a normal 8 iron would. And now I'm 20 short. Or if I hit it too high, it might catch too much of the wind and it might go 190. So I think playing in the wind is knowing a lot of it's knowing exactly what window you want the ball to come out of so that the wind actually reacts to the ball the way it should, like the way it should in your mind. And into the wind, I'm always just trying to hit it like super low. And I actually like I tend to not club down very much, and I just try and hit it like low and through the wind. Because when you're playing into the wind, same thing. Like if it doesn't get high enough, it might just pierce through it. And you hit a lot of shots when you're clubbing up into the wind long. And now that you've hit it long, you're chipping or putting back downwind. And so you've created like this unnecessarily really difficult shot now when you could have just stayed with the same club, hit it at a really like low window or a fairly low window. Worst comes to worst, you miss it a little short, you're chipping back into the wind or you're putting back into the wind, and you should be able to make a par, right? And so like I actually really like playing in the wind. I've always played well in the wind because I'm so handsy with my golf swing. Like I can manipulate the face and the ball to kind of do what I want. And I'm I'm very good at hitting the ball low. So I like when it's windy. I feel like I have an advantage. But same thing, like I just said, like I think the biggest thing is when it's windy, you have to start picking the sides of the hole that you need to miss on. And I think long and short matters a lot when it's windy because vice versa, like if you're downwind and you come up short, now that chip is more difficult or that putt is more difficult. Whereas if you could have hit it a little past the hole, now you're putting back into the wind, got a better chance of making it or chipping it close. So um, yeah, I would prefer wind over bad greens any day of the week. And I too think like it matters the conditions of the course, right? Like if it's soft, wind isn't really going to affect that much because like these guys are so good that they know how far a 6 iron goes into a 25-mile-an-hour wind. They're still going to hit a pretty good shot. But when you have, firm conditions and the ball's not stopping very quickly, that's when, being long downwind or being short downwind or being long into the wind, all of that stuff really starts to matter a lot. And like I said with Q school, like one shot can be the difference between, making a lot of money, making no money. And for amateurs, it can be the difference between, shooting your career best and completely falling off the rails and making a quad or a triple or whatever it is.
Yep. Um, all right. Is there anything else besides announcing the winner?
No, I think that's it. It's pretty weak in golf. Not much going on. I am interested to watch a little bit of the India event, the DP World Tour event, where I think Rory went over there, Victor Hovland's over there. A couple of those guys. That's an event that I've never seen on TV, never really paid any attention to, but the golf course looks insanely tight. I think there's going to be, some really cool golf shots played the next couple of days. So I would encourage anybody to try and find that on TV and watch a little bit this weekend in between football. It's probably on in the mornings since they're in India, so should be able to get some morning golf. But yeah, other than that, let's announce the winner and we'll do a Q School recap next week.
Yeah, next week, when's your Q School event?
Tuesday through Friday. So hopefully record like maybe Saturday. And then I actually fly to Spain like the next day or something like that. So yeah, we'll try and do like a full recap and then, maybe preview DP as well.
So be on the lookout for that for everyone listening. The winner of the Ryder Cup hat giveaway is Walker Carr. We requested to follow you on Instagram. I think Canon's going to reach out to get your information so we can send you that. Um, I will say if you if you don't respond by next week, we're going to have to pick a new winner. So
Yeah.
um, other than that, I think we are good to wrap it up, and we will talk hopefully next week on a successful Q school where you're advancing to second stage. So this has been
Yep.
Golf Adjacent with Ken and Claycomb.
Yeah. Thanks, Christian. See y'all next week.